Hey everybody, Josh RV Nerd at Bish's RV with some awesome updates on the 192 RBS Freedom Express. They were really paying attention last year. They took a lot of the feedback that folks have been offering off, videos like this, and they really applied it to this product. People said the interior's too dark. We don't like that dark wood tone. They lightened and brightened that up and gave it just a very kind of muted, natural wood tone. It just feels very almost log cabin-y, warm and welcoming inside. But they redesigned their front end to vastly improve the storage around the bed. And previously, I always felt that the Grand Design Imagined did some of the very best storage around the bed. I think Freedom Express might be threatening that because you've got double dresser drawers on both sides of the bed. You have doors above the bed that won't flop down on you because they will hold themselves open. You have hanging wardrobe towers on both sides of the bed. Now behind those, you finally have what I call headboard power pockets back there. And the thing is, this is a small camper that is weirdly good for bigger people for the most part. I'll get to that in a second. It is extra tall inside, 6'9" from floor to ceiling. That is a true queen bed. And overall, that's really nice for bigger people for daily comfort. The bathroom is where it gets a little tricky because it is a small RV and everything has to get squished down. The bathroom is probably going to be the biggest potential deal breaker or factor point for you in the camper because otherwise it's got impressive storage. It's got really solid counter space for no bigger than it is. A very large outside front pass-through. They're one of the original users of Asdel in the RV industry. The underbelly's enclosed and heated. You've got a solar package finally standard on these things, giving us some enhanced, extended off-grid or potentially battery tending capability, depending on the kind of camping you're looking at doing. They've made some smart updates, and I think you're going to like it. I think it's the best generation they've had in 2 or 3 years. It's not an accident, I think. This one has remained so popular in the Freedom Express lineup, despite being one of their very longest tenured floor plans. It just checks some really big boxes in a fairly small camper, technically less than 22 and a half feet long tip to tail. That is a small couples model for sure, especially when you factor in things like we got a bigger, taller ceiling. It's about 3 inches taller than industry standard, and it's a linear interior ceiling. It's flat inside. Now, it's barreled on the outside for water runoff and structure and everything, but on the inside, it's 6'9" all the way up to the sidewalls. That allows for taller cabinetry, a taller slide, taller shower, and generally speaking, just a more comfortable open area environment. Lightening and brightening up the colors on their decor, especially their wood tones, I think was very, very smart this year. Now, if you've got an eagle eye, you might notice they've updated that sofa too. That used to be just a jackknife sofa, but it could fold down into a sleeper, but that was it. I think probably borrowing a little bit of a page from their cousin, Northern Spirit. That is now a kick-out incliner. Now, it's not a full-on theater seat, nor can it be. The smaller size and nature of this floor plan puts it on a smaller chassis, and that big wooden box, well, that is basically helping hide the wheel well, which runs under that sofa. You might notice that carpeted deck, basically, under the sofa. That's the bottom of the sofa. That's the top of the wheel well. So they had to build the slide above the wheel well. The slide doesn't go down floor flush. So a true theater seat is physically not possible here. We can get you RVs with a similar layout with a true theater seat, but they're going to be a little bit bigger, heavier, longer, more expensive. And this one packs things like a taller ceiling and a 60 by 80 true queen bed into a smaller package that is also ventless and carpetless on your flooring, so it's very, very pet friendly and convenient that way. Now, I'm excited about the front end of this. Because they redesigned the front profile of every member of the Freedom Express series, which is a major undertaking when a factory's already been set up for a number of years to do that. But by changing their front end design, you used to have some cabinets over the bed, and then you had these full-length, top to bottom hanging wardrobe towers. Well, you still have a decent size hanging wardrobe, but you're now gaining a pair of extra dresser drawers and what I like to call the headboard power pockets. Now, we're going to get a better look at those in a few minutes. If you hang with me, I'll get you, open all the stuff and do storage mode. But basically, at the bottom of that, there's some household outlets built onto the back of that hanging wardrobe tower. And there's like a little power cord feed hole, basically. So like if you want to have a phone charger on the top shelf and then something else on the bottom shelf or vice versa, you can do that too. There's no one way that you necessarily have to use this floor plan. Now, it's not a model that provides excellent privacy. To help the RV look and feel bigger, even though it's a smaller rig, it is a open room concept. And sometimes people get freaked out about that, but it always kind of strikes me similar as like a hotel. In a hotel, most of the time, the only privacy you have is the bathroom. Other than that, everybody's in the same open air, breathing each other's air. For some reason, in an RV, it strikes some people a little bit differently, you know. And again, going with that more natural kind of wood tone, not that dark espresso that they had before. It has greatly lightened and brightened things up. They've also still maintained an oven, albeit like a 22-inch smaller oven. Or, nope, sorry, 16-inch smaller oven. 22-inch is the little bit bigger one. But they have maintained an oven. A lot of manufacturers have been peeling ovens out because ovens are one of the most expensive individual appliances, especially as compared to, now most refrigerators like this one are 12-volt compressor fridges. The oven is actually, generally speaking, the single most expensive appliance in the kitchen. So a lot of manufacturers have been peeling them out to make their RVs look generally the same, but cost a couple $100 less. Freedom Express has maintained a full appliance setup so that you don't have to kind of make those sacrifices. Now, you do have a big farm sink, and you got that 3-burner stovetop, but you do have a couple spots of dedicated counter space, which on a little rig like this, I think really helps. You've also got like some, coffee maker outlets over there, and you do have another set of outlets under that overhead cabinet just to the right of that stovetop vent hood, so that's something to kind of keep in mind for you. On the back wall there, that is a 10 plus cubic foot 12-volt compressor fridge, and you're going to see in a few minutes that actually has that newer style door that can open both directions. Thankfully, they're using a version of that where if you don't latch the left side properly and you try to open the right side, the door doesn't fall out at you. This is not common in the RV industry anymore. This is a Happy Jack slide out. You don't encounter many of those anymore. They predate things like Schwintek slides and were often used in a lot of similar situations where it's a shallow, lightweight, like just a sofa slide like you see right here. And in all of my years of calling footage on Freedom Expresses, I have seen one fail. One. Now, it's not even likely. It's guaranteed more than that have failed. But I've been doing this for 15 years, and go through the number of Freedom Expresses that you've seen me cover video on, and then remember that for each of those, we've probably sold 3 to 6 copies of that RV per year. Well, just from my home store, let alone our entire organization system-wide. Overall, I don't think that's too bad of a record. Now, they do have a different fabric decor. The wood tones don't change. This fabric decor, I think, definitely works best. I think it's called Hess. Which actually is named after Mr. Norb Hess, who was my original Freedom Express rep. The guy's a legend. He did this for the better part of 30, 40 years or something like that. Like, he remembers, he remembers stuff about RVs that I forgot, basically. I think it's cool that they honored him that way. Opening things up above the couch there, you've got a little bit of bonus storage space, and the sofa can fold down into a little sleeper, but you might wonder, like, where do I eat? What's kind of cool is this RV includes its own free-floating table, but because it's free floating, you can get creative with it and move it around. And again, I love the way they've done their storage around these Freedom Expresses. By making your dresser drawers under the bed open sideways outward, you don't necessarily have to lift the bed to get to the storage under it like you do in some other things. I think that's a really smart decision. Not to mention all the storage above and around the bed is just, I think, vastly improved from what they had last year. Overall, the kitchen's pretty much the same, but I love that utensil drawer. There's the drawer that wraps around the sink. I think it's the best use of space under a sink, around a sink I've ever seen in a camper. And what's cool is a little plastic silverware insert in that is removable. So like if you happen to have extra large stuff, or if you want to take your stuff outside for picnic time, you can kind of do that too, which is cool. Now, I don't think they specifically built this floor plan for it, but the campsite window coverage isn't awful. If you think about when you're sitting on that sofa and you're staring at this wall, you've got 3 windows plus that big windshield that you're looking out of. I think about the only thing they could have done to make it any better is like if they would have killed the TV and made this a giant picture window, which I'm glad they didn't, you know. I tell you who did a pretty cool job of that actually is Sunset Trail. I think it's called a 221 RB. I've done a video on that one. And they put a giant picture window there, but they're a larger RV and they had more wall space to be able to accomplish some things like that. I did happen to notice if you do have the kick-out incliner sticking out, It is possible that the door to the bathroom might bonk it, but I mean, it's a little camper. You're going to run into little conflicts like that. I don't think it's too big of a deal. But I think some people may find aspects of this bathroom to be too small, and that be a big deal. I knew I'd find my way there eventually if I just kept talking. It never works when I talk to my wife, though. If I'm like, if I use more words, I can explain it. Nope, I'm an idiot. Anyway, just me, fellas. Porcelain foot flush stool, and it's tight. It's tight around that toilet. What's funny is this RV didn't used to have that problem. They used to have just a corner shower with a shower curtain, and they did not used to have this entire linen cabinet over here. But people said, we want a linen cabinet. And people said, we want a hard wall enclosed shower, glass enclosed shower. We don't want a shower curtain. So Freedom Express did it. But now as a result, everything in this bathroom feels very cramped. So it's a give and a take. You've got some nicer fixtures here. And I do think the storage behind the toilet is awesome. But it also means it can be a little bit tricky. Like, I have great headroom in this because it is taller. But I also, as a result, don't have awesome Hellbow. Gosh, I do that all the time. Hellbow, by the way, is my favorite WWE finisher move that's never existed. Macho Man from the top rope, brother. Oh, yeah. Anyway, moving on from there. One of the other things this RV does really well is give you great function in transit. And actually, I think one of the best ways that I can kind of showcase that for you, we're actually going to start by staring right down the barrel of this beast here and watch that sofa creep in. And that's what's cool about this camper. When you close up the slide, it really doesn't impede like anything. I mean, you can easily walk from the door up to that true queen bed. You can use the entirety of the kitchen without ever touching a slide button. The refrigerator's right by the door, so there's no question there. The bathroom also right by the door, and obviously the door can open without issues. So this is something that it is small, it's easy to park, it's great if you have limited parking space, a smaller tow vehicle, or if you're just really looking to, do some overnight travel stop stay over kind of situations. This is an RV that you never need to touch the slide. It just gets a whole lot better when you do. And at, it's not even 22 and a half foot long. It's right on that door, obviously, but it's not even 22 and a half foot long. And the thing has a total max GVW of about 6,000 pounds. That puts this in the range of, I think certainly a lot of tow package half tons. Many larger class SUVs may find this within their safe, comfortable capacity. There's even some potential for mid-size pickups there, though that is where I really started to go, because, hitch weights, once you load up that front cargo bay and everything, may start to get a little muscly against a mid-size pickup. Dual propane tanks with auto changeover regulator, pretty standard fare up there, but they mount their spare tire up front, which is a little less common, and they do that for load equalizing purposes, or if you want to repurpose the bumper for something else. It's funny, the factory doesn't really recommend that you put things like a bike rack on the bumper, but they actually get the spare tire out of the way for you to do exactly that. Now, something else to keep in mind when we get to the back of the RV, hanging down below the chassis, you're going to see a couple brackets hanging there with nothing attached to them. That's not an accident. Basically, if you've ever seen like the 2-inch rear receiver accessory hitches on a lot of campers, they are prepped. The Freedom Express is prepped for one of those hitches. So if you do want to add a bike rack, you can bolt that sucker right onto those brackets and not screw up your warranty, which I think is nice. Now, they give us a big pass-through. The doors aren't the same size on both sides, but that's because the one over there is extra, extra large. And jumping over to the other side of the pass-through, up top you see like that cardboard box kind of hanging in place there. That is a 2-foot by 4-foot outdoor picnic table, which is actually factory standard and included with Freedom Expresses. Now, they weren't the first necessarily to do something like that, but in the current mainstream generation of the market, they definitely set a trend there, and you've actually seen where other brands like J-Feather and Whitehawk have kind of followed suit in a bunch of their models, giving you your own portable picnic table. Plus, you got that portable table inside. You got a lot of portable, flex function things going on here. Now, Freedom Express Coachmen, actually, as a whole, they might have been the first user of Asdel in the industry. Actually, they were using it way before people even knew what Asdel was. I didn't used to talk about it because nobody understood it, nobody cared about it, and I love how people have become more educated and started to tune more into things like that. But if you're not familiar, Asdel is a wood substitute product. It helps keep some weight out of this RV, which expands your cargo capacity, which is cool. The griddle station has become standard for a couple years now, which is one of the things I do like here. Also, something that's easy to miss. If you start seeing funny colored valve stem caps on RVs, start asking why. Because the reason you're getting that on a Freedom Express is because you have tire pressure monitoring standard on all Freedom Express models within their Ultralight and their Liberty Edition series. As we back up a little bit more, I'll tell you, I could do without the outside speakers, but I've got like a weird thing about that. I don't seem to be a big super fan of outside speakers. The underbelly down there, it is enclosed and it is forced air heated. This is going to be a solid extended season camper, not necessarily like a 4 seasons camper, although the reason I say that with such disdain is 4 seasons RVing is basically a myth. It's a marketing term that has no actual qualifications nor third party governing those statements. There's no actual testing required. You can just call anything you want, and nobody could really blow a whistle on it because there's no standards and practices in place on this. So apologies that I have so much venom in my voice when I talk about that. But I don't like predatory marketing taking advantage of people who have worked so hard for their money, so hard for it, honey. And there's a lot of that out there. Full hot cold outside utility shower, black flush, sewer hookups right back here in the corner. But notice all the hookups are back in the corner. That is one of those things that Freedom Express especially does very, very well. And that really kind of tells me that this is made by a group that actually goes camping, and maybe that's why they know camping a little better. Now, climbing up that ladder back there, I love that they actually include a ladder from the factory and don't give you a homework assignment where they say, well, you know, we got it ready for a ladder, but you're gonna have to go buy it and you're gonna have to go get it and find a place to store it. It's just there. And I am really glad they have finally just said, you know what? We got to just get in the solar arms race, basically. And they finally just standardized a 200-watt solar package. Now, that's not be-all, end-all, major super solar or anything like that. But I think it's a good base standard. And in decent weather, 200 watts is generally considered about enough to offset that 12-volt fridge. Now, if you're going to go extended boondock dry camping, you might want to bulk up on that. You could daisy chain another panel onto that if you want to. The charge controller can handle it. But really, on a camper like this with its small size, your holding tank capacities are probably going to be your biggest limiting factor. And remember that it's pointless to talk about solar without also talking about batteries, which are not included from the manufacturer. And a good quick rule of thumb here, for every watt of solar on the roof, for every 2 watts of solar on the roof, you really want 1 amp hour battery. So 200-watt solar panel, if you're going to go untethered and park away from parks, as it were, you want about 100 amp hours of battery. I probably could have said that in a far more succinct manner, but that's not exactly my strong suit, now is it? So I'm kind of curious to see what you think about the updates. Leave us some comments, and again, your feedback has helped them get here. What else could they do even better to get to the next stage? Let me know what you like about this one, and like if you could wave a magic wand, if you could change one thing on that RV right now, what would it be? Leave me a comment, let me know. In the meantime, I'm gonna leave you some links in the video description for some similar floor plans from other manufacturers, like Rockwood makes a pretty good head-to-head, or if you want something with a true theater seat, I'll leave you some options for that too. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.